Tuesday's match at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium sees London rivals take the field for the second time in a week, with both looking to secure their first win since the Premier League's restart. Spurs, of course, drew 1-1 at home against Manchester United on Friday night, while West Ham were, of course, beaten 2-0 at home by Wolves on Saturday. Spurs looked in relative control on the return against Manchester United on Friday, and while Manchester United had the best in terms of statistics and possession, shots, targets on target, etc., I could argue that Mourinho's side were unlucky to come away with a point. And then we've got West Ham, which, of course, are bad first weekend back. We were beaten at home by Wolves, and now with the teams who sit directly above us, we're all packed in to at least 1 point. The only consolation is that the bottom three were all beaten. Welcome back to Irons United. My name is Anton, and of course, I'm joined by Stell for our Spurs preview. But we're also bringing in a guest this evening for our Spurs preview. And you've probably seen a lot around the social media. It's a new YouTube channel, and his name is Russ. How are you doing, Russ? Are you well?
Very well, everyone. How are you all?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you very much.
Good.
So, just for anyone that's not seen anything you've done recently, Russ, do you mind giving us a bit of a kind of rundown on what it is you do, etc.?
Yeah, no worries. So for those of you who don't know, I'm basically the match day DJ. So I've been doing it for like 20 years now, or 20 seasons almost at West Ham. And over the course of the last 6 weeks, I started a YouTube channel like you do in the coronavirus, where there was going to do. And so what we do is we interview West Ham fans all over the world, different ages, about their memories, their sort of story, their journey, how they got into becoming a West Ham fan, because we all know it's not about the football. So it's about the reasons why, but also the more important, the Hammers 11. So each fan, each interview, they talk about their 11 players. It might be 11 players that they loved, or 11 players they hated, or 11 players they chanted at the best, or and so it's really nice. And we've had about 75 odd. Obviously, I posted Stell's one today. I had the pleasure of talking to Anton and his dad today as well, so that'll be going up on Wednesday. And it's just really great. It's all West Ham fans. It's a real community, very similar to Irons United. We're not about clicks. We're not about subscriptions. It's all about sort of passing on the West Ham community spirit. And obviously, I've been very fortunate in that we've had a load of ex-players come on, and they've asked other players to come on, and it's just snowballed, to be perfectly honest.
It's a fantastic experience. I've got to say, I mean, I said that to you when I did mine, and we were just talking about Anton's dad, having done it today. It's a fantastic experience to do it, because it kind of it reminds you of all the memories, when you're asked, why West Ham, and how long have you been a supporter of West Ham, and so on and so forth. And then you have to pick out of all the players that you've seen, you've got to pick only 11. And that isn't easy whatsoever. So it's a great experience.
It really is. You've got to reminisce all the way back, and brings back lots of memories. So, yeah, great idea. And listen, I can't encourage you enough, if you are watching now, and if you're not watching now and watching after, make sure you jump onto Russ's channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that little notification button. That's when his videos are uploaded. You get to see it. I mean, I'm talking like he has got proper ex-pros. He's got Harry Redknapp. He's got have you done David Cross?
I did Crossy. I've done Tony Gale. I've done Macker and TC. I've done Pete Butler. I've done John Artson. I've got some tomorrow. I've got two coming up tomorrow. One was a boy of 85, 86. The other one played 19 games for us. He was a Ghanaian international right back as well. So we've got some. So we're trying to get a mix, because I want to interview those people. I want to interview the guys who are, the more unknown. Obviously Macca and TC get on everyone's channel, but people like John Paxil, spoiler alert, and people like that. They have just as much passion, and it's incredible, their story, and it's brilliant. So it's great fun.
So like I said, make sure you jump on Russ's channel, get subscribing, all that sort of stuff, and then you'll have a really good time of watching some really interesting West Ham stories. But of course, we're here to do a preview of the game tomorrow. Guys, it's not been the best of starts. I mean, I've always said it through this channel, I'm the half glass full sort of guy. So during the pandemic, I've treated it like West Ham, like this is going to be an opportunity for us to bounce back. This nine game mini league we're about to play, I just always and positive, and I thought we were going to hit the ground running, and we certainly didn't. And I still said in our review, we certainly have been brought right back down to earth. Before we move on to the Tottenham game, Russ, what was your brief thoughts on the Wolves game?
Well, I think, I'm very similar to you, Anton. I'm a half glass filled type of West Ham fan. I think you have to be honest. And yeah, it wasn't. I mean, the fact is, Wolves are a top 6 team. They are a brilliant team, and I think they're really strong. They're really well drilled. Even obviously, I was there. I was one of the sort of 300 there, so I got to see them sort of turn up, and they all turned up and they looked like they meant business. You know what I mean? It was very professional. They all turned up with the face mask, even like the face masks were all the same. Little things like that make a big difference. So I wouldn't take too much from that game. We had a few injuries, obviously, and things changed. Obviously, Seb Haller not starting, Bonner, everything had to be moved around. Deck had to go into the centre backs. I think that made a big difference in terms of that drive from midfield. And obviously, midfield is, he could have dominated the Wolves midfield a bit more, I think. And it's just and as soon as Traore came on, you knew he was going to change the game. And me and Anton have spoken before on our love of his physique today. We interviewed each other today. He's just a unit, and you knew exactly what he was going to do, and we weren't ready for it. And unfortunately, it just happens.
It's funny because we kind of giggle about it because this is the West Ham way. That 3 months of no football, and we're the only team to come back with a whole host of injuries, whereas everybody else is fit, and that is typical of us, because we built our hopes up, didn't we, with the friendlies, and I know they're only friendlies, but we were talking about how Haller was scoring goals, in both friendlies, and he looked, from the reports we read, he looked mean and keen, and he was back ready to go, and then boom, first game back, and he wasn't ready, he wasn't fit. And this is the way we are, isn't it? And I know what you say, that we shouldn't read too much into the first game, but I think it was what happens with West Ham is it's the manner in which we played the game rather than the fact that we lost. Because if we'd given it some effort, and I think we're not saying that the players don't put any effort in, but it's when you compare us to the way Wolves approached the game, it looked like they never got out of second gear, and that they had more gears to move up in, whereas it looked for us that we were, just a bit lackluster, and we looked like we were already on the beach, sort of thing, and it's a shame. It's a shame that the first game back felt that way, and we're really hoping that tomorrow, which we're going to talk about, is going to be the sort of game that really sort of kick-starts the rest of this season, I guess.
Well, this is what we need. So, of course, let's get on to Spurs. Spurs are looking to complete a Premier League double over West Ham for the first time since the 2012-13 season, which was under Andre Villas-Boas. But, of course, we know that West Ham turned up to Spurs last season with that famous 1-0 win, that famous Antonio celebration. What a great day out that was. Still, I know you were at the game. Fortunate to go to the game. I don't know if you went to the game, Russ, yourself. But we are up against the special one. Mourinho is back, the Mourinho Spurs, and he's gone a bit nuts today in his press conference, defending
a 4-minute rant.
Defending his strikers that he's had in his whole career, etc. And some fans were talking, saying that Harry Kane won't score more than 20 goals under you, etc. Tottenham welcome back Lucas Moura and Dele Alli when they do host West Ham. Of course, what do we fear the most about Tottenham, Russ?
I think Lucas Moura is a fantastic player, and I think unfortunately Saturday did show. We have trouble when it comes to pace at the moment, and particularly down the sort of the right, our left hand side, obviously. Now I just think, I'm as I said, half glass full. We're going to turn up tomorrow. I just got a feeling. It's the West Ham way. We talk about the West Ham way, and I've got, doesn't matter. It's when things, that type of game, when, as you said, when Dele Alli's back and Moura's back and Harry Kane, and obviously when we were due to play them before everything happened, we were in a lot rosier position because everyone was injured, it seems, from Tottenham.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we're going to do all right. I really do. I think Saturday is. This is going to be replayed tomorrow at like 10 o'clock. What the is Russ talking about? But I really think we're going to do all right tomorrow. I really do, and that's what it's going to take. A couple of wins. We've obviously got Chelsea next week as well, and hopefully, I just think it makes a huge difference if we get Deck into the middle, because he can bully Dele Alli and people like that. We didn't have that sort of bullying process. We had, Mark tried, but we had, Anderson and Fornals. There's no one there to bully people. And we were talking about it today, actually, Anton, about having that sort of defensive midfield-minded bullying, sort of Mark Vivian Foe type player. And I think Deck is that person when he plays, and he gives something different. And I'm full of confidence.
Yeah, I love the confidence. Still, you're 2v1 here.
You've got to be. You've got to be confident, man.
You know me, mate. I'm always sort of the half glass full sort of person as well. But sometimes I have to just be realistic and go.
I know.
Bring
me back down to earth.
And I just think I think you're right, Russ. I think it's midfield that we talk an awful lot about our defence and how poor it's been, but it's our midfield that kind of sometimes lets us down because we are a bit lightweight there, and it's going to be really interesting.
If you don't mind, what we'll do is let's stay on Tottenham for a minute. We'll come to the West Ham thing. So what we do know is Harry Kane and Son. He is the South Korean international. Both played 90 minutes on Friday. I mean, Son's probably one of the ones I fear the most. I think he's an extremely talented player. In the reverse fixture earlier in the year, that was Mourinho's first game in charge of Tottenham. And if we all remember that first half, it was an absolute disaster from West Ham. And then we had no choice but to pull off. Was it Diop? Diop was having a terrible game. And that's when he decided to put Declan Rice in the back four. And from that moment onwards, the game did change. Now, we'll come on to West Ham again moving forward. But what Mourinho did was actually gave a bit of life back into Dele Alli, because he was starting the season not great. He wasn't starting a lot. And then bang, he came in and then he got given his chance again. Are these the sort of players that West Ham need to worry about? And there's a lot of negative chat in and around Tottenham just now, but does it really matter?
They're talking about, what Mourinho seems to do. He seems to suck the life out of football, doesn't he, wherever he goes? And he was successful at it when he first arrived, when he was managing Chelsea, etc. And then ever since then, it's gone downhill for him, hasn't it? He starts off well, and then it just sort of seems to nosedive. I mean, he must have had his dream job at Man United, and he completely messed that up. And then getting his another chance again. I don't understand what Daniel Levy was thinking of when he got rid of, can't remember his name, whoever. Say again. Pochettino. He got rid of Pochettino and he brought Mourinho in. I don't know what was going on in his head when he made that change. And what they were doing under Pochettino was a slow build, weren't they? They were slowly getting to be a better team. And it probably wouldn't have been too long if Pochettino had stayed another couple of seasons. Probably wouldn't have been too long before they might have been there or thereabouts, to win the league. And I know as West Ham fans, we dread that thought, but I think that's a realistic thought. And then Mourinho comes in and he does okay, and then he just seems to suck the life out of the team. And apparently they're not enjoying it at the moment. And I hope they really don't enjoy tomorrow night, because that's what we need. We need a dour Spurs team who aren't looking forward defending. That's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Russ, they're sitting in 8th place, 9 points behind Chelsea in 4th, and 4 behind United in 5th. Does it mean their dreams of the Champions League football of next year have drifted? Do they really want Europa League football next year? So therefore, will they take their eye off the ball, or will Mourinho trying to prove a point? Not that I'm trying to say he doesn't want to win the game.
I bloody well hope so. I bloody well hope they put the foot off the ball, to be honest. No, but you're right. I think, it's come to the point now where you've got, you've got to think 9 games. It's not, for the teams in sort of the middle. That's why when we look at our fixtures, if you've got that sort of middle section of teams, that's the one where we're going to get points off, because you said they haven't really got anything to play for. A lot of them are obviously I think they're family men. They're worried all this type of stuff and things as well. So that does all play their mind. We love playing against Mourinho. I remember, I remember that when he came for Man United and Chelsea's, and he used to get banished to the directors' boxes at the Upton Parks and stuff like that. It does add a bit of extra spice, not only being Tottenham but being Mourinho. And obviously, last time I think you said sort of that first game bounce. And I just think it's going to be really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Really looking forward to the game, and I just think we're gonna hopefully start turning what I don't know what you call this now, the season or the restart season or season part deux.
Project Restart, isn't it?
Project Restart, yeah. And I just think it's going to be. I think hopefully. I mean, obviously, I talked to. It's quite funny, as I said. Like saying to you today, there. I've got a lot of ex-players' phone numbers, and they sort of text me, their thoughts, and it's people who are in the same sort of similar, people who I've interviewed for the channel. They've been texting me the same things that I've been saying. Wolves was Wolves were going to be a big side. If we had that performance against an Everton or Bournemouth or Newcastle, then I think there'd be cause for concern. But we all knew what Wolves was going to bring, and so I think it's a warm-up game. So I've looked at that one. As you said, teams below us didn't win, so it's still an opportunity to put something back on the board.
I think tomorrow's game is going to depend on what kind of side Mourinho decides to put out, because he did what Moyes did. He put Dyer back in defence, which was an odd one, and I don't know if they've got players who are injured in defence or not. But it was an interesting decision for him to make. I mean, we put Declan Rice back there, but Declan Rice is by trade a defender, whereas Eric Dyer isn't. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what team he puts out. I'm looking at the team that they played.
Two of their players today have signed contract extensions.
Right.
Short-term contract extensions to take them through to the end of the season. They were, I think Vertonghen was one. It was likely he was just going to go and not play, but he's actually signed the short-term extension. So I don't know what's happening with the other player.
So then maybe you might see Vertonghen come back into the team tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he didn't put him in the team.
I think we'll see
against
changes.
Man U.
I get the feeling that we'll see changes for pretty much quite a lot of the teams throughout, because it's been such a long break. It's going to be a stop-start end to the season. I mean, you can't help but feel that most games you've watched have had that vibe of pre-season.
Yeah.
In particular at the start, it's taken a good 60, 70 minutes for the game to warm up. I mean, realistically, I know Wolves had the front foot against West Ham, but it took a good until Traore came on for a minute.
Your mic is...
Can you hear me? Yeah,
I can. Yeah,
it took anything. It took to like the 70th minute or whatever when Traore came on to actually put the spark into the game of football, and it's probably going to be that vibe. Probably a couple of more games to go. I've heard.
But we don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury of those couple of games to get back into the swing of the season.
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger for us. We've got 8 games left, and we need to win at least 4 games. And you kind of look at the teams, and you kind of think, we've got Watford and we've got Villa and teams like that probably, and Norwich that we could probably beat, but that's 2 out of the 8. And then you look at other games. You got tomorrow night Spurs, you got Chelsea, you got Man United, you got Burnley, who aren't an easy team to beat. And all of a sudden, your games are beginning to, the number of games are beginning to shrink.
Yeah.
And you start to think, we need to start. And I think I said this in the review, and I said it last night in my show, that we've got to be on the front foot. We cannot sit back, especially against a team like Spurs, who also have some technically gifted players. I mean, there was that player that he played on a Bergwijn, decent player. You got Son that you've already mentioned, Lamela. You're going to have Dele Alli back, and players like that who can change things for Spurs, who can really make it difficult for us. And we don't really want those sorts of players we don't want to invite them to come at us. I think that's the real concern here. That we don't want these things. So there will be changes, but he's got that luxury that he's got some very decent players to make those changes. You've got Sessegnon, who didn't play, who can come in. So he's got quite a lot of options available to him tomorrow night.
Well, let's quickly recap the Spurs season. They've played 30 games. They've won 11, lost 10. And obviously drew the rest. They've scored 48 times, but they've conceded 41 goals with only 4 clean sheets. So, it's not just West Ham that concede goals, and that's the positive sign, and that's what I look at. There's a opportunity there. It's something to look at, and then of course the top.
You know what that is? Clutching at straws. We need strikers to be able to put that ball in the net, and we'll get onto that.
We'll come on to that. Their top goal scorers are Kane with 11, Son with 9, Ali with 8, and their assists come with Son at 7. Aurier, I can't pronounce his name. He got sent off in his first game for Tottenham against West Ham. Aurier, I can't pronounce.
Aurier.
5 goals, and Dele Alli with 4. So, that's a bit of a recap for the Spurs season, but something to be looked at is the conceded goals. But tell you what, we've had enough of Spurs. This isn't a Spurs channel. Let's get on to our mighty, beautiful, claret and blue West Ham. Russ, no Sebastian Haller, quite possibly no Ogbonna, possibly, and no Snoddy. But the one I really want to talk to you about the most is Sebastian Haller. How much do we miss him? It's funny. How much do we miss him? How much do we miss him with the current forward line, like Bowen, Antonio?
Yeah, I mean it's what we bought him for. To be honest, he was bought in a 3 when he was at Frankfurt. That's how he got to. That's how he came on our radar, because he played in a 3, and you saw. So before restart happened, the last couple of games he did play with Antonio as more sort of partner, and it made such a difference. Just confidence, he was doing boners and stuff like that. And this is the guy who was useless, so to speak, up front on his own. It's frustrating because obviously he's, with Bowen, you could see what Moyes was doing bringing in Bowen, because he had Antonio on one, Bowen on the other side, Haller in the centre. It does actually. It's a proper tasty forward line, and we massively miss him when he's not playing, and you can see that because there's no not target man, he's not a target, there's no focal point for what we do. It was very much on Saturday, Anderson was doing something and someone else was doing, there was no with he's the spear of the diamond, he's the top point, and we miss him massively when he's not playing.
Absolutely. Still, are we going to have to rely on lasagna to get us through tomorrow night?
yeah. I've just had lasagna in just for prosperity. I should have had it yesterday, really. So I was thinking about it, but it doesn't matter.
It's funny. That was the first game I took my daughter to.
Really?
First game. I think she was 4.
Yossi.
Sorry, mate.
Yossi Benayoun.
Listen.
And it was no. I wish someone will give them a dose of lasagna gate tomorrow night, but I'm not sure we're going to be that lucky. I don't want to put a downer on it, but I think Russ has just hit the nail on the head with regards to how we're going to play tomorrow night. And I have advocated if Haller's out, I know we don't have any other strikers, but we do have 2 youngsters. Now, I know we'll all laugh at one of them, but we should give the chance to another. And the one that we're all going to laugh at is Ayeti, because we know he's not really Premier League class. And we know he's probably going to leave at the end of the season. He'll be sold back to Switzerland or wherever he came from. But for me, I think we do need a striker. We need a player that is a striker, that thinks like a striker, and that to me is Xande Silva. Now, I know he started life as a right winger, but he also plays up front. He's a very, very forward attacking winger, which means he's the sort of player that could have played in a front 3. And I think we need to bite the bullet tomorrow, and we need to do something very different. If Haller's not back, which is fairly obvious that he's not going to be, Antonio can't play that game on his own. He doesn't think like a striker, and as much as he can play with another striker, he's not a striker. And so we need to do something. Moyes needs to sort of really take a gamble here tomorrow night. And it's a big gamble when you have to put a youngster in defence, but it's not so much of a gamble when you have to put a youngster up front, because he might either click or he might not. If he doesn't click after half an hour, after 45 minutes, then you take him off and you change it, you do something else. But we need someone that thinks like a striker on that pitch tomorrow night. And given some of the players that played on the other day against Wolves, I mean, I'm a great fan of Anderson, but he didn't do much. I'm a great fan of Fornals, but he didn't do much. You can afford to drop one of those two and play Xande Silva alongside Antonio tomorrow night. And that might make a massive difference. But we need a striker on that pitch.
Yeah. I have to give the credit to, arrived 66. He said, you could have given me a shout out for Lasagna Gate. So I'm giving it to you now because he's the one that reminded me of it. So there you go, mate. You've got your moment. Is it going to be one of those moments, though, that, you know, we see it year in, year out, doesn't matter what manager it is at West Ham, that when we see something that's not right, we think, you know, we've got one forward playing up top himself. Why don't you give them support? Then when we do see that player get included, the other players dropped out of the team, and then bang, we're still playing with one forward. Do you have a suspicion, or do you think that that's something that could happen, Russ? Do you think like we could see Silva play, but then Antonio will be put into a whole new position, and we don't see the support mechanism that he needs? I can't think off the top of my head the last time that we've had exactly what we want, except for the Southampton game before.
Yeah. Pandemic. Yeah. And look what happened. Yeah, it was a good game. You know, we played well. I totally agree. I'd love them to throw Silva in, but I don't think Moyes would do it, to be perfectly honest. For me, I think, you know, I always remember. Do you remember, like, when we went to Tottenham, actually, we played the famous, you know, false nine, didn't we? We had the false nine, and it will happen. So I just don't know. I've got a feeling it'll be a similar team to Saturday. There may be one or two changes. Maybe Fredericks might come in. I don't know, but it's. But I think it's if everything's happening in terms of what everyone says in terms of injuries and stuff, I think it's going to be reasonably the same. But I think it's have a different emphasis, because hopefully we can just move things around, give Deck another little bit of time. But again, I don't know. We just don't know. That's the great thing about football. We talk about this, and then tomorrow, as you said, Xander's in. You know, Ayeti, they're playing two up front, and you know, I think that's what we do need a shot at the arm like that. It'd be nice to have a go, but I don't know. I don't think Moyes will do it.
Let's give you an example of a youngster given a chance. Foden has just scored for Man City. How old is he? You know, when you put youngsters in. Man City are playing Burnley, and he scored the goal. When you put youngsters in, that, you know, Freddie Sears, was it his first game he scored for us?
Yeah,
you know, and how old was he? You know, 19 at the time, and you just never know. I mean, mind you, Xande Silva ain't young; he's 23. You know, so it's either time to give him a chance, or it's time to say you're not going to make it, and you just don't know. When you have an unknown source, you know, Mourinho won't have, you know, they'll do their scouting and stuff like that, but he won't know as much about Xande Silva as he would do about, you know, some of the other, you know, players in the first team squad. So sometimes you just have to take that gamble. But I kind of agree with you, Russ. You know, he won't take that gamble, Moyes, and I think what was frustrating about Saturday was that Moyes played the system that he did when he first arrived, his second time of arriving back, whereas the last three games we played, when we were on the front foot and we played with players around Haller, we looked like a very different team. We almost got something out of Liverpool. We were unlucky against Arsenal, and we won convincingly against Southampton, all because Moyes changed the way he was approaching the game, and he went on the front foot. And I think that was what was disappointing about Saturday, that we weren't on the front foot. And if he does that on tomorrow night, he's going to be inviting Spurs onto us, you know, and we need that outlet. We need to be able to link our front players up with the midfield, which is why I'm advocating that he's got to go for it. He's got to try something. And if it's a Yeti or if it's Silva, then do it and see what happens. You never know. You never know.
Something else we can't forget about is today that the Premier League announced that there was another positive test of COVID-19 in the Premier League. They haven't announced which team, which players come from. So, you know, you never know. We could be sitting here talking about all these players and one of these players just can't play. And if they have been in close contact with another one, then they can't play. But I do.
Allegedly, there was I think the Athletic came out and said, was it Arsenal they wouldn't say who it was. That's what they said, apparently. And they were in contact, and they reckon that it was I just read it just before I came on, and there's another two in close contact. So there's 3 of them. So that may have been an explanation of why Ozil didn't play. I don't know. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah,
but no one came out and said that, did they? So
absolutely. But I mean, it is kind of it's what I mean. Do you know what we've had? I don't want to call it a break because the 3 month. It's not been a break. It's been a pandemic. It's been a world problem. So, but in terms of football, the footballers haven't played. What that's given us the kind of relief in our brains to not panic every single day of every single week, thinking we're going to get relegated. Then suddenly, like you said, still bang, we get hit with brought back down to earth. And now we've only got 8 games to go, and there's a real worry. Like I'm really, really, really worried that if we lose tomorrow and another couple of teams pick up points, and I know Nigel said that I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham do drop into the bottom 3 and then fight our way out from that position. But my concern when you are in the bottom 3 is you don't want to be in that by points deficit alone.
It's that mentality, isn't it? That mentality of being in the bottom 3, and especially when there are fewer games to go. That fear starts to creep into the way the players are playing, and it'll creep into some players, and there'll be a different feeling for other players who are probably thinking, well, I'm not going to be here if we go down, so it doesn't matter to me. Attitude, and the combination of those two, and you can almost tell Declan Rice and Mark Noble and players like that they're gonna want to try their hardest. They're gonna want to try their damnedest not for us to sort of go down, but that fear will creep into their play. And I don't want to name any particular players, but there'll be other players that will be going, well, I've got a clause in my contract which means I won't be here if we go down, and that combination can be a bit scary, I think. So we don't want to be down in the bottom 3. We want to do all we want to have the control of where we stand in the league, and right now, by the skin of our teeth, we're just about. I mean, the games couldn't have gone better, could they? Apart from maybe the Brighton win, everything else for us couldn't have really gone better, could it?
Well, apart from the fact also when you look at other teams that we're about to play who haven't had form, and then Newcastle turn up and smash Sheffield United, and you're thinking, God, we've got them to come, and there's a game and you think, oh, there's an opportunity to get something. But anyway, that's just the West Ham way, isn't it? There's no really other West Ham way about it. Before we move on to any predictions and team selections, another player that might make it is Augie. Where are we at? Did we miss him yesterday? I mean, or was that, or was it that wasn't really the problem kind of thing? Because I've always said a long time, Declan Rice quite possibly is our best centre half. Borderline controversial. I know he's equal. I think Moyes even said it today. Did Moyes not say it in a press conference that Declan Rice is arguably our best centre half and arguably our best midfielder? I don't know if I've misread something online, but he probably arguably is. That also concerns me, those comments. But what do we do if Augie is fit? Do we put him back in and put Rice back in the middle? What do you think, Russ?
Definitely. We miss, he's a great centre back, and there's no denying that. And obviously, I remember seeing him at the under 23s playing centre back and very commanding, reminding me of a young John Terry. That sort of leadership quality, which is really rare, and particularly English players and young English players. But I think he's so needed in midfield. Yes, he'll be a great centre back, but eventually we need that midfield person to replace him in midfield. And I think he's critical if Oggie's back, to put him straight back, because you need that particularly. I mean, it's not a case of being away from home, because I don't really see that being an issue now, whether it's home or away. It's not. You're playing a different team regardless of where they're positioned now, because of everything in closed doors. But he brings so much drive to that team, and he then allows Mark to do more. Mark was carrying a lot of the weight of that team on Saturday. And that was probably one of the reasons why he's been, I think, has this sort of, Mark said, his resurgence in the last couple of years, because of the emergence of Declan Rice to deal with the donkey work, so to speak. And Mark has a little bit less time, a bit more time to do stuff. So absolutely critical. If Oggie's in, Dec's back in the midfield, without doubt.
Still, I agree, mate. I think I know you and I have banter over Ogbonna over the years, but he's critical. I actually don't think he will be back for tomorrow, to be honest with you, which means that Moyes is going to have to make a major decision whether he keeps Declan Rice there or whether he brings he risks bringing Balbuena back and playing Declan Rice in midfield. And I think, we talked about that there are likely to be changes tomorrow. I can't see Mark Noble playing another 90 minutes tomorrow. I just I'll feel sorry for him if he does. He may start, but I think we're going to need to start looking at some other players. Snodgrass would have been an ideal, wouldn't he, if he was fit, to maybe fill in that role alongside Souček. But the only other player I can really think of, there's two I can think of. One I dread to think about would be Sanchez, but the other one would be Wilshere. And maybe play him alongside Souček. So if Ogbonna, I know you're laughing, Russ.
I think Moyes today credited Wilshere for. I think he credited him for staying fit in training. It wasn't as
great. We want him to stay fit in the game.
It wasn't as obvious as that, but you took that from the comment. It was something along the lines of give him credit. He's been playing in training, whatever.
It wouldn't if Ogbonna,
he wouldn't start him.
Say again, mate. Don't.
He kind of highlighted he wouldn't start Wilshere.
Yeah. Well, it really is down to whether Ogbonna is fit. If Ogbonna's fit, Rice goes back into midfield. I can see either Noble playing, with the three of them there, Souček, Rice and Noble, but then there'll be absolutely no support up front for the striker, so it will be a containment approach. But if Ogbonna doesn't make it, Moyes has got a big choice to make. He's got a big decision to make. If he really, really doesn't fancy Balbuena that much, then you'll see Rice playing at the back again, and we'll see what happens in midfield. But Ogbonna, I've said this to you so many times before, Anton. He's a stalwart. And all right, he gets caught out every now and again, but sometimes when he's up for the challenge, he's up for the challenge, and he's played really well this season. He is Hammer of the Year as it stands, for me. And
without us going into this argument, Russ, we have this argument thing going on. I struggle to give any defender or goalkeeper, well, maybe goalkeeper, but any defender credit when we had a bad season, to be honest. I really struggle with it. But anyway, listen, another player I want to quickly talk about again before predictions is Souček. I've been his biggest fan since he's came, but he was so quiet against Wolves. He really was. But I am putting that down to that he needs a couple of games to find himself back into the league. But Russ, your reaction there makes me know. Check he's next level in my opinion. He's quality.
He's brilliant, and everyone sort of I'm a big advocate of Moyes. I'll be honest, and I think by all accounts, he came in and just found it, and sort of one of the ones he found. He found Bowen, and I think Souček's brilliant. And we talk about having the need for depth going to the midfield, giving Souček that. Souček could be that player. If he has people around him. And I think he's got it all. He really has. I mean, that's his first game. He came in he was like a breath of fresh air in midfield. So what we need, definitely.
It's interesting with Souček, he does play a better game when Rice is next to him, and that's not taking anything away from Noble. I don't mean that in a derogatory way against Noble, but you could just see Declan Rice and Souček being a fantastic midfield. If we stay up, and we sign him permanently, which is what we're talking about doing, him and Rice in central midfield for a whole season would be fantastic for us. Absolutely fantastic for us.
We're about to. Let's hit the first 11. So if you're watching, get your comments in. Let us know your first 11 that you would start with. I mean, I'm pretty adamant we could do quite a lot of these players very quickly. So are we in agreement? Of course, it's Fabianski. And I suppose, I mean, I'm still on. I think it will be Creswell. Anyone else disagree or agree on that?
It's Creswell.
Yep. And then we're going with Diop. And probably, I'm thinking it's going to be Rice again. Russ, what you think?
Yeah, I think by all accounts, I think it will be Rice, to be honest. But who knows?
And then the last fullback, and I mean, the Ngakia saga continues. And for me, I'm not going on to the whirlwind of this. This is a saga because I think he's not currently still not doing anything wrong. I know he's taking it to the wire, but
He's got till tomorrow to re-register.
He was one of our better players.
It's got to be decided. His West Ham future will be decided tomorrow because if he doesn't, well, I know you can re-register after, but you've got to re-register 7 days before your end of your contract. So he's got till tomorrow, isn't he? So
they were saying also in his Moyes' press conference today that they were asking about Ben Johnson. He said that, he's been training, he is fit, but he's not had much game time, so he has been out for a long time. So he kind of highlighted that Ben Johnson obviously wouldn't be playing, and they talked about Fredericks coming back to fitness, so he'll be pushing. But if Ngakia is going to stay, I think tomorrow, like you said, still will be a really good testing point to see where his future potentially lies for Ngakia. Midfield, what do we think? Many changes?
I don't really know much. I would personally. I know if Wiltshire is even, I'd love to see Wiltshire in the team because I think he brings an extra. Obviously, being Arsenal, and there's always this sort of needle, and I think that's what you need now. It's about commitment. It's a damn shame Snoddy's not around because he's exactly the person you need. Snoddy, Noble, Declan, that sort of real nucleus of the team. But yeah. So I definitely if he would put Wiltshire in, but as you said, he spoke a little bit, not derogative of him, but it was almost like an off comment rather than integral in the team. You know what I mean? The way he spoke about it in the press conference. But I think you'd see a similar team to Wolves, to be honest, in the midfield. To be perfectly honest,
do you think there'll be any changes?
Do you think that'll be Anderson as well, then, mate? Do you think Anderson will play tomorrow? Is that or Fornals? Because what did Anderson play? He played either out left and then or just behind Antonio, didn't he?
Oh no, I know. At one point he was playing up front.
Yeah,
and that's just not his position either. That's the frustrating part. But I mean, do we think we'll see any changes tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we will.
Where?
I forgot to mention another player that could play up front. Completely split my mind. I mentioned him yesterday. Is Yarmolenko.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think he'll necessarily play a whole game. Will he start? Probably not. I think we'll see if there's any change. You're smiling there, Russ. I think you know something. I think we'll see. I think we'll see Anderson drop tomorrow, and but I don't know who will. I'm going to go with Russ. I think Anderson will be dropped, and I think Wiltshire will come in tomorrow.
Yeah,
play Fornals out on the left. Wiltshire just in front of Noble and Souček with Antonio. It's supporting Antonio.
Yeah, Russ. Any counter argument on that one?
No. I mean, I'm a big, as I said to Stella, I'm a big Yarma fan. I really like Yarmolenko. If he's there where we can put him in the team, I would. And he did play up front, and he played up front for Ukraine. That's why he scored so many bloody goals for Ukraine.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's his thing. But I mean, I don't think there'd be much change to formation. Maybe a position here, maybe a player there, but it's going to be the nucleus is going to be pretty similar because it makes sense because you've got so many games coming so quickly. You can't have you haven't got time to go wholesale changes. A week you could have maybe, but not 3 days. Yeah. So it is the needs and wants of the fitness of the players that will make the changes. But that's it.
But does the fitness of Noble not concern you? Because he won't play 90 minutes tomorrow. He may start.
But though still is against Wolves, he was probably one of the only players that kept coming back to find the ball to give support. I pinpointed when we were doing that watch along, I was like, he is constantly coming to find the ball. He was the only one, and he was getting really frustrated when he was looking for anyone to come and find the ball from him. Not a single player was doing it. No. We then fell back into that trap of being the static attack that we have been known for such a long time. And I did. Do you know what? I actually felt for Noble because I thought he had a good game.
Yeah.
And I'm just if he can do that and players can perform in and around him, he was pinging balls left, right, and centre. The players weren't reacting to it at all. They were too slow up top.
Yeah.
I get the Noble for and I get the Noble against argument, but a game like tomorrow, albeit there's going to be no fans, I still think Noble's the guy that would get that team G'd up.
Yeah.
In that dressing room and I don't even know if it's a porter cabin they've got to go in anymore. I think, but I think he will get them G'd up.
I think definitely.
Sorry, Russ, go for it.
No, I was about to say definitely. I think him and I mean that's what's important to always have West Ham boys in the team because when it comes to things like the Tottenham games, it's having that sort of getting everyone together, knowing the importance of those games, and that's I don't think it's a coincidence that we always turn up for Tottenham, and I think it's because of people like Mark and Deck, instilling that sort of we ain't Tottenham sort of mentality, and that's what is critical. Even if Mark can play 60 minutes, getting him out at the beginning to set the tempo and get the team at a right level, and hopefully, as I said, it's always better when he has Deck with him because it means that he can do more with the ball. As you said, he has a bit more license. He doesn't have to trap back as much. And as you said, once he can ping those balls, no problem at all, and people can react to him. But you're right. Saturday was pretty static. I did feel sorry for him because several times he sort of threw his hands up in the air, and that's a clear indication that he wasn't happy with the thing in front of him.
Yeah.
Listen, get your comments in. Let us know your predictions for the game, and we will now jump on to the most exciting part of the preview. Our predictions. I'll save mine for last, but we'll go to yourself, Russ. As predictions for tomorrow night.
2-1 West Ham.
Love it. Do you want to give us some goal scorers?
No. I tell you, Tottenham will be Son because he always scores against us. Yeah. And West Ham will be. Let's go with Stel's predict. Let's go for Yarmolenko and let's go for Antonio. Yeah. And he'll do a little dance. He'll do a special TikTok dance for everyone.
Yeah, cool. Like it. I'll take that. I'll take a 2-1 right now. Stel.
Okay, let's be positive. I'll go for a 2-1 as well. Russ has nicked one of my goal scorers. I think Yarmolenko will come on and he'll score. Another goal scorer, Mark Noble penalty.
Right, cool. I'll take that. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to West Ham. And I'm going to go for...
Is that because you went for a 3-0 victory or something against Wolves and got...
I said 3-1. I said 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a...
And then one of our viewers slated you for it.
Yeah, listen, I'm fine with that. Listen, I've got a decent record for predictions, so you just need to pipe down a bit there. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory, and that man, Lanzini, is going to step up to the boat and everyone wrong.
That's unfortunate.
We haven't spoken about him at all, have we, Lanzini?
We haven't.
Well, we could do, but he was poor, wasn't he, when he came on?
He was. But
he's given up. He looks to me that he's given up playing for West Ham. He looks like he's waiting for someone to come in to buy him in the summer.
Do you know what I said today? I think with yourself, Russ, very briefly about Lanzini. I think I'm more of when a player doesn't show form, I don't want to just sell them instantly. I don't know if it was the other day I was talking to someone, but I don't want to always just sell a player because they don't find form. And I know he's not had form for a while, but he has come back from a crazy bad injury, and he needs to. He's been slightly mismanaged sometimes. So when he wasn't fit and wasn't playing well, he should have been dropped when he was just told to continually play, and he wasn't up for it. He didn't look up for it. So for me, it's just mismanagement. He should have been brought out of the team to go and find. And I'm hoping, he came on and he didn't look good, but who did particularly look good in the game the other day? And therefore, if he does, and I think he will get a run out again because we've got 5 substitutions, and I think he's a game changer, and we've seen what he can do.
Can I make a comment about our substitutions?
Yeah, go for it.
5 substitutions, and Dithering Dave only managed to bring 3 on. And he brought 2 of those on in the 81st minute when it was too late. Now, we've got an option to change the game, which, Wolves did. And they changed the game. They went on the front. He brought Traore on, knowing at a point in time that Traore was going to be fit and ready to just run at our defence, which he did. And they got 2 goals out of it. Dithering Dave decided to bring 2 players on the 81st minute, of which one was a fullback. And Ngakia was playing okay. Didn't have too bad a game. Didn't need to change him. He could have made a change that would have impacted further forward, and he didn't do so. And I think that's really disappointing. 5 opportunities to change the game, and he didn't. And I think that's, again, a bit of a disappointment in the way that game went on Saturday. And if he does the same thing again tomorrow or in the rest of these games, then, my optimism will sort of continue to, go downwards rather than upwards. Moyes needs to make positive changes. If the game ain't going for us tomorrow, or if it's evens or whatever it may be, he wants to up the ante and use our substitutions in the right way. Sorry, it was a rant. I apologise.
So listen, we've got lots of comments there, but we've been on for 50 minutes. Let's not go on anymore and bore people, because they're going to see a lot of us over the next couple of weeks, including yourself, Russ. So, like I said, make sure you tune in to Russ's channel. We'll try and get the descriptions and links and everything into our show, all that sort of stuff. And if you're watching our show, of course, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification, all that malarkey. Tomorrow night, we have 3 shows in a row. We're going with team news announcement, we're going with a live watch along, and then we're coming to you live straight after it with a review. Please, if you come in, please just, we don't take it serious. We have a laugh. We don't even look at the camera. We just constantly watch the game of football and we chat rubbish. So it's all for a bit of fun. If you are keen to come on during it live, we'll send you a link, we'll bring you on. Just have a laugh with us. We're West Ham fans together. I mean, I might get the rum and coke out again, and we'll see what we can do from there. But make sure you tune in and we'll go from there. Thanks, Russ, again for coming on to the show, for having myself and some of the other guys as well on. And yeah, make sure you tune into his channel. Anyone last words you want to say before we go?
Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons. You guys take care.